It started like any other morning, calm, quiet, just before sunrise. The fog was still low on the hills behind our ranch-style house, the kind that muffled all sound and made the world feel still. I was brewing coffee, standing in the kitchen, in my robe, when I noticed the reflection of movement in the window. At first, I thought it was wildlife. We often got deer or coyotes near the tree line. But as I stepped closer, I saw it wasn't animals. It was people, two figures in reflective vests, walking toward the detached structure behind our house. My wife's office. To the untrained eye, it looked like a stylish, modern studio, floor-to-ceiling glass panels, reinforced steel frame, brushed aluminum door, and privacy tint. To the trained eye, well, they wouldn't even try. But these weren't trained eyes. They were, from the HOA.again.I side, setting down my mug. This wasn't the first time they'd poked around the office. Apparently, someone on the HOA board didn't like detached auxiliary buildings, even though he had full permits. They'd filed complaints, sent strongly worded letters, and even tried to fine us. Each time, a lawyer made them back off, but they always came back. What they couldn't understand, was what that office really was. It wasn't just a workspace. It was a secured communications hub with military-grade encryption, EMF shielding, and a biometric security system even I didn't have access to. My wife Yale had it built herself, overseeing every detail, and she never let anyone inside. Not me, not our closest friends, not even during construction. To them, she was a quiet, brilliant cybersecurity consultant who preferred working from home to me. She was my wife, my partner, my home. But to anyone who knew her past, the real past, she was something else entirely. Commander Yael Cohen, Shaytet 13, Israeli Special Forces. Now retired, sort of. The two HOA enforcers were making their way around the perimeter of her office. They weren't armed, not yet, but they carried clipboards and radios. The kind of tools people use when they want to pretend they have authority. One of them knocked on the glass door. Firm, impatient. Inside, I could see her. Yael stood with her back to them, headset in her ear, tablet in hand. Eyes focused on the holographic display rising from her desk. She didn't move, didn't even glance in their direction. She was on a secure call, that much I knew. The man knocked again, louder this time. The other began speaking into his radio. That was my cue. I walked out onto the deck and called, "Can I help you, gentlemen?" They turned. The older of the two looked annoyed. "Sir, we've received multiple complaints about unauthorized commercial activity occurring in this outbuilding." I blinked. "It's not a commercial building. It's my wife's home office. We've submitted permits and clearance. You've been informed of this before." "Yes, and the HOA board determined further inspection was necessary." Inspection. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. You don't have any authority to inspect anything. This is private property. She refused to answer the door. The younger one cut in, voice edgy, like he was rehearsing for a police academy he'd never get into. "Which suggests she may be hiding something." "She's on a call," I said. "A high-security one." They exchanged glances. Then the older one stepped toward the door again, knocking even harder. "Ma'am, this is HOA security. Please open the door. This is your final warning." Inside, Yael remained motionless. Her fingers tapped gently on the tablet. She turned slightly, just enough for them to see the earpiece in her left ear. Her face was unreadable. I felt the air change. They didn't like being ignored. And people, like that, men who confuse structure for power, don't handle silence well. The younger one reached for his radio again, calling backup. "Officer 12 requesting additional security presence at 647 West Ridge Lane. Non-compliant occupant, in possible violation of HOA codes 5A and 7C. My jaw clenched. I stepped off the deck and walked toward them, voice low. "You're making a mistake." "No, sir," the older one replied. "She is. We gave her an opportunity to comply. She's chosen not to." "You're not cops," I snapped. "This isn't your jurisdiction. This is a private property under full compliance with state and county law." The man looked down his nose at me. "You don't seem to understand, sir. The HOA's rules are binding. She can't just hide behind glass like she's above the community." I wanted to say, "She's been above a lot more than this community." But I bit my tongue. Yael finally ended her call. She set the tablet down with care, removed the earpiece, and stood up fully. Even from a distance, I could see her shift posture straight. Shoulders aligned, chin slightly tucked. She was no longer my wife in her home office. She was a commander assessing threats. She walked slowly to the door, but didn't open it. She stood just inside, staring at them. Eyes sharp, cold, focused. That's when the third car rolled in. A black SUV with HOA markings pulled up, and out stepped a man in a flak vest with a sidearm, clearly holstered at his hip. My blood turned to ice. They'd escalated. All because my wife didn't open her door. The officer looked toward Yale's glass office and spoke into his radio. I want that door opened. If she refuses, we'll treat this as an active security violation. Prepare to breach. They thought they were intimidating her. They had no idea what they were waking up. They returned with backup. I was halfway through my morning coffee, watching the sunlight filter through the pines, when the sound of gravel crunching under tires broke the silence. I looked out the window and saw them, not one, but 3 HOA security officers. All of them wore matching dark blue polos, pressed slacks, and duty belts they had no business wearing. It was clear they had convinced themselves they were law enforcement. One even had the word tactical embroidered on his vest, as if patrolling a gated community full of retirees and engineers required elite training. I sighed. The first 2, I recognized Officer Brad and his tagol Mitch, both regulars in the neighborhood, who thought writing parking citations gave them the right to bark orders. But the third guy, he was new, bulkier, older, the kind of guy who looks for fights just to remember he's alive. They weren't smiling. I stepped outside and walked halfway down the driveway. Morning, I called, trying to stay civil. Something I can help you with. Brad didn't even look at me. His eyes were on the detached office behind the house Yale's sanctuary. We received another complaint, he said flatly, this time about unauthorized use of a detached structure for commercial purposes. There it was again. The same excuse they'd clung to for weeks now. She's not running a business out of it, I replied. It's a private workspace. We've gone through this. We have permits, zoning exceptions, every bit of paperwork you need. You're wasting your time. We have a right to inspect any structure on HOA-governed property, Mitch chimed in, puffing his chest like a rooster. No, you don't, I shot back. Not unless it's communal or in violation of safety ordinances. That office is 100% within code. You've already been informed that it's not your jurisdiction. They ignored me. Instead, the new guy, the bulkier one, walked toward the office with a slow, deliberate pace. He was scanning the area like it was an active crime scene. His hand hovered close to the sidearm on his hip, and I felt my gut twist. Inside the office, Yao was seated at her desk, speaking quietly into a headset. She hadn't looked up. That was her way of sending a message that their presence didn't disturb her, that she didn't consider them a threat, and that drove them crazy. Brad rapped hard on the glass door. Ma'am, open up. No response. Mitch joined in, pounding his fist like he was trying to alert someone in a burning building. Ma'am, we need to speak with you. Still, nothing. The new guy turned toward Brad. She's ignoring us. That's non-compliance. What's protocol? Protocol. My mouth dropped open. You don't have a protocol. You're HOA security. Your job is to make sure the trash bins get pulled in on the right day, not harass homeowners like your SWAT. That's when Brad said the words that made my stomach clench. She may be hiding something. We might need to breach. I took a step forward. You even think about touching that door, and we're gonna have a real problem. Sir, step back. The bulkier one snapped, suddenly sounding more official than any of them had a right to. Then he did it. He unsnapped the holster of his pistol, not drawing, not yet, but his thumb rested on the grip. I could feel the temperature drop. Time slowed. My heart pounded. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered. You're threatening a homeowner because she won't interrupt a private call to entertain a power trip. She's acting suspicious. Brad shot back. She's an introvert on a classified call. I snapped. You're 2 steps away from committing a federal offense. They weren't listening. The third guy motioned to the others and began to approach the door. Open it now, or we'll breach, he shouted, cupping his hands against the glass. That was when Yael looked up. She didn't rush, didn't panic. She simply raised one finger, a gesture that meant wait, and calmly ended her call. She clicked a button on her tablet and then placed it into a locked drawer beneath her desk. She stood. I could see the change in her posture, feet shoulder-width apart, head slightly tilted, hands relaxed at her sides, not aggressive, but ready. Brad must have seen it too, because he took a hesitant step back. Then Yael turned around and faced them through the glass. She gave a nod, slow,